I'm completely
Little
with
side
you.
tangent, but see, use cases.
Yep.
Some of the companies that you have advised or invested in, TweetDeck. Why did you choose a company like TweetDeck? You know, when
Sure.
when you're going about the process of, you know, should I put some money toward this? What are the things that you as an angel investor are considering? Is it you know, market trends? Is this a nascent technology that you see taking off? Like, what are the signposts for you?
Yeah, it's actually really simple. I'll call it activities, where I spend my time, where I spend my money, you know, who I spend my time with.
Right.
All of that's around a philosophy that I picked up. I studied communication in college, and I got this crazy idea.
Us communications people.
I know. I took a TV class, and I'm not qualified to even sit on the other side over there. But I got this trend in mind, and this trend was simply, it's easier and easier to publish information, and it's easier and easier for people to get access to information. And when you look at that, two sides of the same trend, and you can take it back as far as you want to people scratching on cave walls, to the printing press, to now desktop publishing in the middle. I started a desktop publishing business in like 89 maybe, somewhere right in there. Because I love the simple idea, which is anything around the creation or consumption of information that makes it easier is going to be a winner if you do it right.
Wow.
So
that's a really good fundamental.
That's everything I've done, everything I've spent my time around. My commitment to Collecta and that team there is because there's a fundamental transformational concept of delivering information instantaneously. And that is a very obvious thing. Now, this one I decided to spend not just my time, but actually commit to. And back off of other things because I think that the transformational power of Collecta is huge. So TweetDeck and some of the others. There was something I worked at CompuServe. If you remember CompuServe way back.
I do. You've worked. Well, let's throw that out there really briefly. I mean, your search background alone, you know, is pretty impressive.
Oh, thanks.
Reuters, AOL.
So briefly. I started in the online space. I was working at a newspaper, and we took it was a weekly arts and entertainment paper, and we put it online, and we put it on Genie, the GE information system. And at that point, I thought, online is big, and you put the phone in the cradle. And so I got out of business school, worked at CompuServe for a while. We sold it to AOL. Then I went off to Compaq, where we spun out AltaVista, and I worked on products there. And then tried a little startup, and then ended up running search at AOL for about 5 years, did the big deals with Google. General manager of that business, and it got to be a really meaningful business, and that was a blast. We got it down to the point where it was delivering cash and growing at a specific rate, and the opportunity to innovate was on smaller strokes rather than bigger strokes. And I got the opportunity to take everything I had learned about content federation and content discovery and user experience and the technologies behind it, and I went to Reuters, which was a little bit of a strange fit conceptually. However, first of all, the team there, great innovation going on. There's a lot of cool stuff taking place in the world of finance, and specifically that team there, Devin Wenig, and I could list all the people. There's just great thought going on there. The question was, could we take some of the consumer experience concepts, bring them to our infrastructure, and bring them to our experiences to make them more easy to use and potentially more profitable for such a big company. And so we took simple ideas like content discovery, content federation, web services, and things like that, and brought those into play. So that's how Reuters worked. It was fantastic. There's acquired a company while I was there called ClearForest, which led to OpenCalais. So if you're into the semantic tagging thing, OpenCalais is the way that you know, pretty much anybody can tag content and extract metadata out of it. So that's really cool. And so as I looked at what I was going to do after I left Reuters, a couple things were going on. One, some good friends of mine had started this little company called Surmise. And Surmise was
search. Just a little company.
A little company. It was a little company. It was a few guys, you know, looking back, what was going on in the little room there with a few guys sitting around the table was meaningful. There were guys with unbelievable brain power, all working together to solve a problem. And what attracted me to the Surmise guys, one, I'd worked with them for years. They were the development team that I worked with at AOL. But they were onto something. And guys like Greg Pass, Jay Verdi, Abdur Chowdhury, they were looking at the question of conversations now are entering the corpus, what people search, and how does that change the world? And I got really excited about that and thinking about how conversational search might open up new ways for technologies and
Would
users.
you say conversational search is equivalent to semantic search? Or are they different?
They're completely different. So semantic search is about figuring out the aboutness of something.
Right.
Conversational search is about looking at the publishing of a piece of information as being a two-way street.
Okay.
Right? So the two-way street, and this is something that Surmise did really well early on, was just thread the conversation. Somebody might tweet, and somebody else might respond to that tweet.
Yeah.
So to be able to see that flow
Right.
is good, right? So, and being able to pull that out of things like Amazon product reviews and all of those things. Those conversations had not been adequately surfaced, really, because search was all about grab that page and show that page. So, big picture. Surmise went to Twitter, and so you know, I sit back from afar and look at that and think, you know, those guys are onto some great stuff.
Yeah.
I love what Twitter's doing. Now, my philosophy, here's a simple idea. In the online world, there was a place that you go, and once you got there, and this is back in the CompuServe days, you had mail, you had your information service, and the information service had sports, and it had finance, and it had a couple other things, and you had search. And so I saw Twitter at the time as being a disaggregated view of what the online services should be. So if Twitter is the thing that carries all the information, there needs to be a finance channel. So I got hooked up with Howard Lindzen and StockTwits. There needs to be a communication client, which was the thought behind getting involved in TweetDeck. There needs to be, you know, a couple other pieces of functionality. I think local is really interesting. I got involved with a company called Outside In, which is a fantastic company that's doing hyper-local. And so my whole philosophy in that investment time was on a thesis, which is if the world's not closed, which we know, you know, in between there, the Yahoo, Google, everything got to be really, you know, about the hub and spoke model. You go one place and branch back out. In the new world where you get all your information in this disaggregated bite-sized form, somebody's going to be making sense out of that along the natural lines. So that was my whole thing, and I got associated with John Borthwick and Andrew Weissman at BetaWorks, who think the world of those guys. They, you know, I couldn't have done and been involved in the things that I was without being involved with them. So a lot of props to those guys. I think that they, you know, in parallel and significantly with greater wood behind the arrow, got into the space and are doing great stuff. So,
how do you, when you're looking to pull a team together or that sort of thing, how do you, I get this question all the time, how do you find the right people? Or if someone comes to you and says, I'm looking for a CFO, I'm looking for a blah, 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 fill in the blank. You know, for you, it seems like some of it's coming from the gut. You know, you see people that are innovating in a certain way and it jives with you. But I mean, how do you find the right people for a team?
This is actually a really personal answer, and I think it is the answer. I don't want to work with people that have bad motives, right? So if somebody's motives are to, because they're passionate about something, because when they wake up in the morning they're excited about something, even if I don't agree with them, I can find some way to be excited and support that. And especially in some cases, find a way to work really closely with that. And I don't always agree with the companies that I work with. But if there is a passion behind that, and it's a passion that I find valuable, I find it easy to work with people. I'll give an example. Well, Ian at TweetDeck, right? Ian loves TweetDeck.
He really does.
He built it because he wants it.
I interviewed him at LaWeb. Hi, Ian, if you're watching. And yeah, the guy really loves it.
He does, and that's it. That's all it took for me. So BetaWorks introduced me to Ian. I sat down with him for a few minutes and said, this guy is going to put every bit of his being into making this work. And so I just thought, that's easy. There are companies that are successful that are motivated by simply finding market arbitrage and other things, and I think that's great. That's just not where I feel comfortable spending my time. Howard Lindzen knows stock. That guy knows the financial markets, and he knows who moves in the financial markets, and when Howard was pulling something together, no-brainer, right? So that's it. And when I met the guys at Collecta, I want to take a second. These guys are rock stars because these guys are passionate about scaling and making efficient this information for instantaneous discovery. And Jack Moffitt and Christopher Zorn and Nathan Zorn, I could list the whole team. They probably want me to.
Feel free.
Okay,
we want to know who these players are.
No, wait, I better stop because everybody's going to come poach. If you want to know who the team is, go look at the site.
Go ask Gerry Campbell.
But so these guys, they were together as a team. The Collecta story is these guys were together as a team. They had built this infrastructure on this open source technology called XMPP. And XMPP is the open source standard that is parallel to the AIM instant messaging or any of the other instant messaging. But this standard has been morphed into something far more than just messages with, smileys and stuff. It's become the transport for us for carrying all kinds of messages, and that those messages could be a full blog post that we get pushed to us from the WordPress platform. It can be a full news story pushed to us from the Examiner. It can be a tweet. It can be a photo that we pull from somewhere. It can be any one of a ton of things. These guys were really excited about this technology and its potential to change the way information is delivered. And so as I met them, we spent time together. One, I found, these guys are smart. They're crazy smart. And anybody who knows the company will know that we have a lot of discussions about, how to apply that, how to work together, and how to make it all work. And we've got this foundation of their passion, my passion, and it seems to work. So the Collecta story is that this infrastructure has been around in development for about 6 years. At first it was a gaming platform for chess, actually a fast twitch gaming platform that the guys at some point said, hey, wait, instead of chess moves, if you put information in and information out, we clean it, filter it, set it up for keywords, it can move really quickly. And that was when True Ventures got involved. Got to give props to True Ventures. And that was when the company got founded, and I joined right after that.
As CEO now, what is your main focus with Collecta?
I read a great blog post by Fred Wilson, and a CEO's job is to lay out the strategy, make sure you have the best team possible, and secure money. And that's hard. That's really hard to stay at that level. In fact, in a small company, I'm ending up, dabbling and probably making more problems than not in everything from the real business planning to the product management to whatever else. But for Collecta, the frontier right now is taking this crazy, fast, truly different push platform for information and finding the way it resonates in the market. And so we've got, if you go to widget.collecta.com, what you'll see is you can go create a widget and put it on your site if you're a blogger or a publisher. And what happens is, if you, for instance, come up with a good one, PC Mag on the launch of the iPad, they put one on their iPad page. So if you went to read about the iPad for the launch, right on the right-hand side, they just put in the words iPad and a couple other things into the widget, clicked around, configured it, grabbed that chunk of code, threw it on their page, and then they had fresh content that was within seconds right next to the iPad. So that's pretty exciting. And what we're seeing...
It's that easy.
It's that easy. Paste code onto your page. And what we're seeing with that is that the engagement goes up. It's natural, right? If there's something moving, there's something fresh on a page, people are going to stay longer. And the quality of our stuff is getting better and better, and so people stay longer and longer. So as a publisher, you want good duration, good engagement metrics because people see more ads, click on more things, and that's what we're getting.
Nice. So strategy, team, money for a CEO.
So I'll give Fred all the props for it. It's way more simple than I see it. Every morning I wake up with like 1,000 things I need to do. And
we have a lot of younger people that are just looking to start their first company. And so we like to get tips and tricks and resources for them. So when you open up your laptop in the morning, what are some sites that you go to?
Wow, I'm probably a terrible one to ask this question. I tend personally to be driven by my vision more so than outside influence, and I get a lot of my influence from the people I know, the conversations I have. I find that there's some people who write that I really like, but in general, I spend time with people. I spend time with VCs. I spend time with entrepreneurs, and I spend time with technologists largely, to understand where their passions lie. Because when it comes down to it, I thought the question you were going to ask is what should an entrepreneur look for? And
well, that was next. But.
Okay, good. I'm going to answer that. That's the one I want to answer.
Okay.
So starting a business is hard. right? Running a business is really hard, and there are days when you're on it, and there are days when you're off it. And I was talking with a friend yesterday. You got to get dirty, right? You know, in the corporate world, I spent a lot of time making sure that everything went smoothly, because I was concerned about, you know, impressions and all of those things. And I think that's natural, and that's the way things work. What I spend my time on now is making sure that I and the people around me are hooked into the things that motivate them. And the reason that's necessary, it's nasty out there, it's dirty out there, in terms of, you know, you might get really excited about a product or something you're doing, and then find 2 days before you launch. Perfect example, we were really excited about launching Collecta last June, and about a week before we launched, Scoopler came out and had a similar, you know, arguably similar set of features, and so we were like, oh, that was deflating. So that's you know, full contact, and time has shown us to be different, but those are the things, you know, the ups and downs. So being motivated by something that you actually care about, I laid out what mine is. I think that's, you know, that's it. But so my drive for new information is usually, you know, I'll have a conversation that sparks something and I'll go dig it up. I spend more time searching than I do browsing, I think is the right way to say it.
Okay, that makes sense. If people are new to a community, you know, for instance, a lot of people still think, wow, there's tech in LA, for instance. Well, you know, say someone moves to LA from Boston, like I did. No. And they want to find a way into the community. What I guess, what would you say to them in terms of, like, are there certain events they should go to, or is there a certain, how do you get your foot in the door, I guess, and when you don't necessarily have a lead?
That's a great question. So I just, in the last month, moved here from the East Coast. I actually lived in D.C., but have worked a lot of places.
We're actually finally having a summer day today.
It's not bad out there, is it? It's nice.
It's been really cold in LA this summer. Yes, I'm whining.
I have no gripes, though. I have no gripes. It's been like 400 degrees out east.
And humid.
Yeah, very humid. The getting into a new place is hard, right? I mean, there's some things about it. One of the things that I always underestimate, and I've shifted companies a couple times, and I've shifted location several times too, and you forget how much you value existing relationships, or how much the credibility is important. So the first thing is just stay tied into your credibility, right? So a lot of my network is from places outside of LA, but staying tied into that is useful in making sure I understand. So Brian Zisk on our team, who's one of the founders, is great for making connections. That's how I ended up here today. Brian said, hey, you should probably, you know.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Brian. So, but so part of it is just continue to work the network, even if it's not in a location, find people in the location. The second thing is, you know, going to events I think is important. I met Efren at a little thing. We threw a party. We had, we're at the Co-Loft. Oh, okay, another prop here. Co-Loft is an awesome place in Santa Monica.
Co-working space, folks?
Yeah, oh sorry, it's a co-working space, and yeah, it's great. So we moved in there, lots of entrepreneurs milling around, and it's great in that. So we threw a little, you know, have some beer, come down and meet us. So that's one of the things. It's hard, it takes time. I think that's it. The reason Collecta's here in LA now, and the reason the team just moved here, I was in New York while what I would say is phase 1.0 of the big spark around social stuff, right? So being close to the BetaWorks guys, being close to Fred Wilson and the Union Square guys, that was exciting, especially as they tapped into a set of entrepreneurs. And so the people that came and went from the offices there, and the thoughts and the openness to try new things, and then a couple quick successes like Twitter, you know, I can throw out a few others. Foursquare's come out of that same environment. Hot Potato just came out of that environment. Those things happen, and each time that happens, it reinforces that something's going on there. I feel that way about LA. So as I have, in business travels, been going around and spending time different places, meeting with potential partners and talking to people, what I got a feel for was, specifically in Santa Monica, but definitely around LA, there's an influx of money. And behind that is a belief that something's happening here. So I went to check it out, and I spent time with Avesta and Cameron at Co-Loft, and what I saw was there are entrepreneurs walking around. There are coders. There are designers. There are...
Talking about finding people.
Right. They're there, and what it takes is a couple people with some faith in the market and a couple people who actually make stuff happen, and a market can pop. So I look at LA not just as, is this the right place for me to grow my company? Great sales talent in this town. Oh, by the way, if you're in sales, we're hiring. Creative talent.
Collective hiring.
We're hiring salespeople, creative talent, some coding, so check out our website. We've got them listed there. Collecta.com. COLLECTA.com. But so that's it. Like,